Have you heard? It's truck news.
Oh no.
The Truck Show. We're gonna show you what we know. We're gonna answer what the truck. 'Cause truck rhymes with the Truck Show. We have the lifted, we have the lowered, and everything in between. We'll talk about trucks that run on diesel, electricity, and on gasoline. The Truck Show, the Truck Show, the Truck Show. Oh, oh.
It's the Truck Show with your host, Holman.
The Truck Show podcast is brought to you by the following sponsors. AMSOIL launched the industry's first synthetic motor oil back in 1972, and AMSOIL continues to innovate with a wide selection of synthetics that are formulated, blended, and packaged right here in the United States. These specialized lubricants are engineered for what you drive and how you drive. AMSOIL's Shop by Vehicle tool offers package size recommendations to maximize savings and includes AMSOIL's Ultimate Oil Change Kits. AMSOIL offers the protection you demand and the performance you deserve. Get yours today at AMSOIL.com. Nissan has the right truck or family hauler for your needs, along with legendary Nissan durability. Test drive a Frontier or Armada at a local dealer today, or point your browser to NissanUSA.com, where you can use the build and price tool to configure a Nissan that fits your lifestyle. The perfect complement to your truck is a Kershaw knife. All Kershaw knives come with a limited lifetime warranty, and repair parts are readily available through the website. Kershaw knives include lifetime sharpening, and the lineup has everything from EDC knives that can be used and abused for under $50, all the way up to high-end collectibles. Thanks to our generous partnership with Kershaw Knives, Truck Show podcast listeners can get 40% off MSRP and free shipping over $50 by using the code 2540TSP now going forward. It can be used more than once and even includes automatics. Visit Kershaw.kiusa.com today. When it comes to amazing vehicle-based adventure content, how-tos, and great storytelling, only one brand is doing it right in the print magazine space, and that's OVR, Outdoor Vehicle Recreation. OVR is about getting out there in our vehicles to explore and discover the world around us. Get complimentary access for a year to the digital library or a discount on your print subscription today at OVRmag.com. Use the promotional code at Truck Show Podcast. Have you heard? Welcome back to the Pod Shed. It's been a few weeks since we got into the news, so we've got all sorts of great stuff for you. Let's start with what may be the biggest news of the last few weeks, and that is Stellantis is bringing back Hemi production.
That ain't true! That's not true! So get your facts straight.
No, it's true. And I think everybody's happy to hear the news. So apparently, these V8s are going to be coming back, and they will go into the Dundee engine plant, which is in Dundee, Michigan. And they've produced the 2.4-liter Tiger Shark i4 in the past, the 3.6-liter Pentastar, I think the 2-liter Hurricanes as well. The plant is 1.3 million square feet, and apparently the entire lineup is coming back. The 5.7-liter, the 6.4-liter Performance V8, also known as the Apache or the 392. And from what we understand, the Hellcat's coming back.
THANKYOU, thank you, thank you.
And production is supposed to start as soon as August of this year. Now, what will those engines go into? Definitely Ram. I think we've talked about Kuniskis coming back to Ram and being a big fan of bringing back the V8 and kind of teased that it was possible, but it would take some work. So I think that's the first place you'll see it, but it also sounds like you might see them in some of the new Dodge cars as well, and maybe more Jeeps. So anyway, I'm super excited. You should be super excited. So I guess we'll see what happens. I'll be interested to see, what do you guys think? V8 or twin turbo straight six? And what will the customers say? So here's some news from the Ford camp. It sounds like the Strop Bronco is going to be the only version of the two-door to get the V6 in 2025. So a little background, the Strop Bronco is a limited edition model that's inspired by the vintage Strop Broncos that has that cool tricolor livery with the blue and the orange and the white. And it was at the LA Auto Show, and I think we've talked about it in news on the show. The Strop Bronco was like the Bronco to have. It was super rad. It was built by Bill Strop here in Southern California, and they're highly sought after in the aftermarket. The new Bronco, the two-door, I think looks the most pure anyway, really lends itself well to the Strop treatment. Standard equipment is the stabilizer bar disconnect, Baja Goat drive modes, the Haas 3.0 suspension with Fox internal bypass dampers, 35-inch Goodyear Territory tires, 17-inch beadlock capable wheels. The bad news is it replaces some of the 6 Bronco trims offered last year in the two-door configuration. You used to be able to get a Big Bend, a Black Diamond, Heritage, Badlands, Wild Track, and Heritage Limited Edition. Now for 2025, the base Bronco two-door only comes with the 2.3-liter four-cylinder, and to step up to the V6, you have to get the Strop Edition. Well, that's going to cost you $78,000. And last year for 2024, the starter Bronco was the Black Diamond Edition, which cost $49,960. So that's quite a lot of cheddar to get the extra 30 horsepower, though torque is way up. The 2.7-liter V6 comes with 415 pound-feet of torque. Anyway, if you're in the market for a new Bronco, it now starts at $40,585 for 2025, and then goes all the way up to the Bronco Raptor that now starts at $92,625. So the latest shocker from Bring a Trailer comes by way of a 32-year-old truck that sold for, well, let's wait for it, 1993 GMC Typhoon with 688 miles on it. It was apple red. Now, the Typhoon was, of course, the turbocharged 4.3-liter SUV version of the Typhoon pickup truck. And according to the internet, there were only 345 apple red out of the 4,697 Typhoons that were made during a 2-year run. So, just out of curiosity, anybody know what the 280 horsepower and 350 pound-foot of torque SUV went for? Remember, 4-speed automatic, 0 to 60, 5.3 seconds, which is pretty fast back when it was produced. It was quicker than a Ferrari 348 TS back then, and was also right on the heels of an Acura NSX, ran the quarter mile in 14.1. That SUV back then came with a sticker price of $29,530. All right, you guys ready for what it went for? Any guesses out there? Just for a cool $226,000.
Wow.
I mean, holy moly, $250,000, just short of $250,000 for a 90s era GMC Typhoon. Now, this is a nice one. The interior looked immaculate, as you would expect for 688 miles. It probably was one of the cleanest examples you'd ever find, and somebody stepped up big. But is it worth that? truckshowpodcast@gmail.com. Let me know, what do you think? Would you pay nearly $250,000 for a 32-year-old GMC Jimmy that was made a little bit faster? I will say the body kit on it still looks cool. The wheels have aged well. It's still a pretty good-looking SUV. So I hope whoever bought it cherishes it and actually puts some miles on it. Sad news to report, if you are a fan of big rigs, Kenworth's iconic W900 semi-truck, it's going out of business. It's been in production for more than 6 decades, and Kenworth says that they're basically putting it out to pasture because of emissions regulations, component constraint. They're also discontinuing the T800W and the C500, and they want to focus on the next generation of Kenworth trucks. So if you can't remember what a W900 looks like, just stream Smokey and the Bandit, and the black and gold semi in that is the classic W900. So we're definitely sad to see it go, but there's plenty out on the highway, and you'll still be able to order one well into 2025. Jeep just launched a special edition Golden State Gladiator for Californians. It's a limited run Big Bear edition. So this one's named after our own Southern California Big Bear Lake, and it's part of the San Bernardino National Forest. It's basically a Sport S trim, but then adds a bunch of convenience features and some extra off-road stuff. This one comes with 32-inch mud terrains, rock rails. You do not get a rear locker off-road plus, so it falls short of a Willys, but you also get a bunch of creature comforts, leather seats, heated steering wheel, power heated mirrors, keyless entry, adaptive cruise, remote, all that kind of good stuff. They're available only to California Jeep dealers, and there's only going to be 5,000 units made. Starting price on that will be $48,085, which includes a $1,995 destination charge. That's about $4,500 more than a Sport S, but you get the convenience group basically thrown in. So if you're looking to drive a Gladiator with Big Bear on the hood, then find a local Jeep dealer like our friends over at Glendale Jeep here in SoCal, and they will hook you up. I feel like we need to do a jingle for auctions. So if you guys remember back in 2008 when Hummer was racing big time with Rod Hall and the Hall family, they did a concept vehicle based on a Hummer H3 called the H3R. It was sort of this, I don't know if it's like a Tangelo orange. It's funny, you look at it and it still looks pretty good today. It's going to be auctioned off at Mecum in Houston, and it was built for SEMA. And if you Google Hummer H3R, it'll come up. What's rad is not only was it sort of decked out for racing with the light bar and the push bar and wheels and tires, it had a 7-liter LS7 V8 under the hood, which is super rad. So if you remember, back when Rod Hall was racing the Hummer H3 and competing in the 1,000, he had 11 production class wins, and it even went over and competed in Dakar Rally. Anyway, this concept looks pretty good. It's aged really well. The naturally aspirated LS7 makes 505 horsepower and 470 pound-feet of torque. And I'm telling you, go look at the pictures online. It's pretty awesome. It's aged really well. It still looks good. And I remember driving a 6.2 engineering mule of the Hummer H3 that had a bunch of fancy suspension, getting to jump it over and over again, and it was really awesome. This thing is more of a showpiece. I'm sure it works fine off-road, but it looks like it's in really great condition. If you're interested in parking this one in your driveway, the Houston auction of Mecum is going to be on April 5th, so just in a couple days here this weekend. So don't miss your chance to bid on this awesome piece of history. General Motors has introduced a couple of extra trims for the Sierra EV, added a battery option, and lowered the price. So now the 2026 GMC Sierra will be available in an AT4 trim and an Elevation trim. And there's also a new entry-level standard battery option. If you go over to the current Sierra EV Denali, it's above $100,000, but the new standard range Elevation will start at just $64,495, undercutting the Tesla Cybertruck by about $15,000. So if you're in the market for an electric truck, sounds like GM has some options for you. The range on the standard battery pack will be revealed closer to launch, but currently the extended range is 390 miles and the max range is 460 miles. So now that the GMC Sierra EV is more affordable and will appeal to a broader audience, it'll be interesting to see how it competes with the Tesla Cybertruck, especially with the price being so much lower. In other GM news, if you remember, GM basically took CarPlay out of most of its EVs, although the recent Hummer EV that I had did have it. So there's a company by the name of White Automotive and Media Services, and they made a CarPlay workaround that was available back in November, and that would work with the whole line of the EVs that didn't have it. The Chevy Blazer EV, the Equinox EV, Silverado EV, GMC Sierra EV, and Cadillac Lyriq. So their kit supported both wired and wireless Apple CarPlay, Google's Android Auto. It worked on all the screens, and you could also use Siri, Google Assistant, as if it came from the factory. However, there's only one place that you could get it installed, and that was LaFontaine Chevrolet, and it was so complex that it wasn't something that you could install by yourself. Well, while all the EV fans were super happy about it, GM was not happy about it and shut the whole thing down, saying it could have adverse impacts on critical vehicle functions and stop working altogether with future software updates. And LaFontaine Chevy in Plymouth, Michigan, said that GM instructed them to stop offering and installing White's kit. So once again, manufacturers inserted themselves to make a customer less happy. It's still a bummer that CarPlay isn't installed in all the EVs. I think if you're like me, you rely on it. I drive a lot of different vehicles. I love CarPlay as a journalist. It's been an absolute game changer, and I hate to see this option for GM EV customers be taken away from them, unfortunately. If you head on over to the Drive, they've got a great story about how Ram truck screens are being stolen. You can steal a Ram Uconnect system because the only thing holding it together is some clips and 2 Phillips screws. So people have been coming out to the Ram to find their 14-inch and 12-inch screens gone. If If you're curious to know more about it, head over to the YouTube channel for Pickup Truck and SUV Talk, and our friend Tim Esterdahl walks you through the process and shows you how easy it is. I think what you should probably do is take out those Phillips screws if you happen to have this truck and at least put in some Torx or something like that. So how about this? Would you be interested in a heavy-duty Cadillac Escalade? All independent suspension, Hummer EV brakes, 8-lug hubs? How's that sound? What if it came with a 3-liter inline-6 turbo diesel or a gas V8? What if the frame was heavy-duty, but the body was an Escalade or a Suburban? Well, if you're the Secret Service, GM has just the vehicle for you. They're going to be building heavy-duty armored Cadillac Escalade SUVs, as well as Suburbans, and basically that body will be armored and then mated to that chassis, and they'll be used for VIP protection around the world. Curb weight's around 11,500. Fully loaded, they approach 13,000 pounds. I don't know about you, but I think a fully independent 8-lug, personally, I think having an 8-lug fully independent SUV with a high gross vehicle weight rating sounds pretty rad, but unfortunately, normal Joe Blow consumers like us can't buy it. This one's special just for the government. Sorry, guys. And the last piece of news for you for this one is a recall.
Check engine light just went on. Noise under the hood takes like a bomb. Recall covers metal, glass, leather, and plastic. Door handle pulled off in my hand. Just fantastic.
Well, unfortunately, the Tesla Cybertruck is under another recall, this one voluntary, for more than 46,000 Cybertrucks, 2024 and 2025 model years built through February of this year. Unfortunately, the cant rail, which is the decorative stainless steel piece along the A-pillar next to the windshield and the piece that goes over the rear door, could separate from the truck at speed, making it a hazard to motorists driving around it. It doesn't really hurt the truck, but it's something that you don't want Cybertruck parts littering the road. So basically, this is a decorative piece that covers structure, and it was bonded, and there's what Tesla's describing as, quote-unquote, an adhesive that is prone to environmental embrittlement. Since finding out about it from a couple customers, I guess they have about 150 people that have complained about it. There's a new formulation being used on trucks currently in production, and now they also use a stud welded to the panel and then a nut that clamps that steel panel to the structure. So all Cybertrucks assembled since February are built the new way, and if you've got a previous version, then you want to contact Tesla, and they will get that fixed up for you and give you the updated parts. As if Tesla Cybertruck owners didn't have enough stuff to worry about right now. Yikes. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of the Truck Show Podcast. Hopefully you enjoyed the news, and I will look forward to seeing you next time.
The Truck Show Podcast is a production of Truck Famous LLC. This podcast was created by Sean Holman and Jay Tillis, hosted by Sean Holman, and uses production elements by DJ Omar Khan and Jay Tillis. If you like what you've heard, please open your Apple Podcast or Spotify app and leave us a 5-star review. And if you're a fan, there's no better way to support the show than by sharing it and patronizing our sponsors. Some vehicles may have been harmed during the making of this podcast.